Hello, and welcome to our podcast for college Catholics. I'm Father Patrick Wainwright, and today I have two guests. One is Jenny, who is a consecrated woman of Miles Christi, and Kristina, who recently graduated from college and is here with us to share a little bit of her experiences in college and with her faith. So today we will discuss the reality of consecrated life in the church, but in particular, what are the consecrated women of Miles Christi? So Jenny Stofka is here with us. She will give us her witness, how she got to know about Miles Christi, and how she decided to consecrate her life to God. And also Kristina, our other guest, will share her experience in college and how she knew Miles Christi. So hi, Jenny, and hi, Kristina. How are you doing?
Hi, Father. Thank you for having us.
I'm doing great. Hi, Father. Thank you so much.
Good to have you here. I hope you enjoy our podcast today. And what have you been up to?
Yeah, so we just got back from our annual girls' camp here in Michigan. We had 53 girls. It was an amazing experience.
That's a lot.
Yes, it was very good. Many blessings, and many girls from all over the place too. Our camp seemed to be growing. So we had from Michigan, from
Chicago,
Maryland, Indiana. A great group of girls. So if any girls are watching or listening, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. So by the way, where are you originally from, and where are you living now?
So I grew up here in Michigan mostly, and
I thought you were from Cleveland or something.
Yes, beautiful Cleveland,
so were you
Ohio.
born in Cleveland?
I was born in Cleveland. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so my heart is in Ohio.
All right, very good. And you, Kristina? So where are you living now?
Yeah. So just a few years ago, almost 3 years already, I have been living in San Diego with and helping with the activities there with Miles Christi.
Right, because we have, as a religious order, we have a house in San Diego. There's Father Claude, Father Paul, Father Martin, and Father Richard. And Kristina, where are you from? Where were you born, and where do you live now?
I was raised in Miami. I was born in Maryland, but I've essentially lived my whole life in Miami, and I'm currently in Tampa, Florida.
Very good. Awesome. Very good. So, Jenny, why don't you tell us a little bit, what is this of the consecrated women, and what is the consecrated women and consecrated life about?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So the Consecrated Women of Miles Christi, we are a public association of the Christian faithful, but we are connected with Miles Christi. So, for example, we share in the same charisms and the same spirituality, and we do a lot of the same kind of activities. So we work with the youth a lot. Mostly,
and you're more directed to the women. You do the apostolic activities with women.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, hence the girls' camp we just went on, the girls' retreats that we have.
Right, because there are things that I, as a priest, can say to young women and girls, but where you are going to be much more effective in addressing those things, and they will feel more comfortable talking to you than talking to me.
Right,
exactly.
And it does happen. You know, they'll at the retreat they'll come up to me and ask me this question about, so it's always about boys, so things like that. I love that. I love being able to be there to help them.
Right. And how did you become? So we're going to talk a little bit in a minute. I'm going to present a bit about consecrated life. But how did you become? Or how did you decide to become a consecrated woman?
Right. Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, listening to Father Paul's podcast that you had a few weeks ago, which was incredible.
About his vocation.
Exactly. Yeah. So, kind of, I guess, similar stories in that sense. He had mentioned, there wasn't an angel coming down from heaven, or hearing something directly from our Lord, something visual that he saw. But it was, in a sense, it was for me, it was a gentle tugging at the heart, Christ asking for me to be completely his through, and I saw that through prayer. Specifically, I saw that at the Miles Christi spiritual exercises that I attended when I was in college.
What year were you in college?
That was
a sophomore, junior, or senior?
Right. I was going into my sophomore year of college.
Wow.
It was the summer.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very good. And so, did you have any type of conversion in college, or you were already thinking about consecrated life when you're a little girl?
No. Yeah, for sure. When I was in college, when I was in high school, I was involved with my faith. I did go to a Catholic high school, but I didn't really know anything about it. And I remember one time I was very active. I did a lot of things in high school. I, kind of in all of the groups. So I was into sports. I was into campus ministry.
What sports did you play?
Tennis and softball.
Oh,
I love it. Was a great experience. So I was into kind of everything. I was very active, and I, of course, I had boyfriends. I did go on mission trips.
Boyfriends? One at a time.
One at a time. Yeah, one at a time.
Don't do that.
Let's get that straight.
Everyone listen. One boyfriend at a time, please.
And I remember one time my campus director even asking me, have you ever thought about, being a sister? And I had a boyfriend at the time. I was like, this guy is crazy. What is he asking me? So I don't know what he saw, but so who
was this person? Director of campus ministry?
He was the campus minister. He was just a
lay
layman.
person, not a priest.
Right, okay. Exactly. But I knew him well. He actually had a lot of great influence on my faith. So I give thanks to him. So I went to
what changed in your schooling years?
Exactly, that's a good question. So I went to a local Catholic university here in Michigan. Again, still not knowing a lot about my faith. I just wanted to go to a Catholic university. I think it was more just the name, like, I can be just Catholic in name only. I'm going to this school, and that's what it means to be Catholic. It's just kind of the title.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't know anything about really my faith. I hardly had to pray the rosary or anything. So, and I got a scholarship to go to this university because I was in a Catholic high school. So I was obliged to participate in the campus ministry. But thanks be to God, I did have to do that because it was through campus ministry that I found a priest of Miles Christi. And I also found amazing, faithful Catholic students from freshmen to seniors that love their faith and were just so happy about being Catholic and knew so much. I mean, I didn't know anything how to defend, about abortion or any, just no clue. I could say this. I thought I knew, but then when I actually found the truth, then my eyes were completely opened, and it was a really good experience. So
it was the witness of these other good Catholic students,
yes,
that moved you to say, I need to know as much as them. I need to live the way they are living, and that moved you to change or to take your faith more seriously.
Right, and it was also the support system that I received when I went to the university. I would definitely encourage, if there's any, college students, of course, many listening, that if you are Catholic, and there's someone else that's really struggling with their faith, like to really provide that support system, because you have no idea the impact that you yourself can have. Sometimes we think like it's the priest, it's the teacher that have the big influence, but yes, of course.
Yeah, like just having good Catholic friends.
Oh, friends, yes. Yeah, the friends, yeah, for sure. They were such, I would say, after meeting the priest of Miles Christi, that support system was huge in my life. The fact that they we went to the chapel and prayed the rosary every day, and that, they went on these mission trips and actually studied their faith, is like, I thought you guys were crazy before, like just kind of weird, kept to themselves, but no, they're out there, living in the world, like so happy. Also, I was able to participate in World Youth Day, so that was also very impactful.
So that you happened to see John Paul II?
I did.
Okay.
I had great blessing to see him pretty up close too.
Thanks, John Paul II.
Exactly. Awesome. Yes, pray for us.
Very good. Well, so I'm glad that all that happened, and that you saw these good Catholic faithful students who at the same time were normal, were had played sports and had fun and had enjoyable evenings, parties together, and healthy parties together, and so forth. So just for those listening, I would like to say that consecrated life in the Catholic Church is lived by those faithful, like Jenny, like any priest of Miles Christi, those faithful who are called to follow Jesus in a more perfect way. And the Catechism of the Catholic Church says, number 944, that consecrated life is characterized by the public profession of the Evangelical Counsels of poverty, chastity, and obedience, in a stable state of life recognized by the Catholic Church. So what is useful is that all the faithful, useful to know that all the faithful through baptism are called to holiness. And also we are all consecrated to Jesus Christ through baptism. So that's why there's an anointing at baptism, and we are consecrated to Jesus Christ. If you want, we are in a sense, we're like the possession of Jesus after baptism. But through the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, we add a special commitment to live out, a public commitment to live out those promises of baptism and to seek out perfection in a more specific way. So the church in the Code of Canon Law says that consecrated life, to add a little bit more, right? So it's a stable form of living by which the faithful, following Christ more closely, under the action of the Holy Spirit, are totally dedicated to God, who is loved most of all, so that having been dedicated themselves by a new and special title to his honor, to the building up of the church, and to the salvation of the world, they strive for the perfection of charity, which means holiness, right? So, in a sense, it's a promise through the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. It's a promise to imitate Jesus Christ. And if you want the Virgin Mary as women, right, you imitate the Virgin Mary, who imitated Christ perfectly, and to imitate them for life to the best of our ability, right? And because Jesus said so many things in the gospel, the church throughout the centuries summarized those commitments of the gospel into 3 areas: to live poverty, that is not to have any possessions of our own; to live chastity, that is not to have a physical family and to commit to living a life of sexual purity; and obedience, that is to promise to follow the will of God always, as manifested through the directions of the constitutions of the particular community which you embrace, and through the religious superiors, right? So that's a little summary of what religious life is about. So we also have Kristina here. How are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? How, and especially, how is it that you got a little bit, because you came to the girls' camp and were like a chaperone, right?
Yes.
Did you give any talks to the girls or something?
Yes. Jenny asked me to give one talk, and yeah, it was great.
Okay, very good. So how is it that you learned about your faith? Well, you were always, since you were in the crib, you were already like super holy, or did you become better or open your eyes to Christ a little bit in college? How was all that? How was that process, and how is it that you came to chaperone on a girls' camping trip?
I would say yes, like, as soon as I was born, I had a little halo. It was great, and then happily ever after.
Oh, good.
Just
very good.
kidding. Yeah, really. So I met Miles Christi when I was in college. But how that came to be was, first I was exposed to Catholic campus ministry in Miami. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I was going to FIU, Florida International University. It's a state school. It's a very, very large state school.
How many students at the school, more or less, you were saying?
52,000.
Wow,
yeah, it's a big
lot.
commuter school. It's also like a very large commuter school, but Miami's huge also. So,
So were you already practicing your faith, or how was your first years in college?
Okay, so yes, I was not practicing my faith at all. I had all my sacraments. I grew up in a family that we would go to Mass every Sunday for the most part, thanks be to God. But other than that, that's really it.
Mm-hmm.
We would never talk about the Lord. We never had spiritual conversations. Mm-hmm. I didn't have good formation whatsoever. I went to also public elementary and middle. And I went to a Catholic high school, but the Catholic high school that I went to, unfortunately, just very worldly. The time that I was there,
okay.
Yes, really, at all. So my upbringing was very secular, and in Miami, with all the temptations, it's a lot of great things, a lot of beautiful things, but also a lot of very dangerous things, and a lot of sin all around, constant temptation. So I was just a very typical Miami kid. High school was a disaster, for lack of a better word, but just very
disaster
party.
From a Catholic spiritual point of view.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. From a spiritual point of view, just a disaster. And just I was totally ignorant and just really spiritually just dead. And I did not have a good formation, and just my group of friends, a lot of us, like, we had our sacraments, but again, like, knew nothing about our faith. It was just very secular party scene, like alcohol, drugs, just all these things.
All of the above.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what happened in college what happened to you?
Okay, so
What happened to you?
so I was given the grace, thanks be to God, to end up in a Catholic campus ministry at University of Miami. It's just also in Miami.
Uh-huh.
And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I met people, or I encountered people there that were pursuing holiness, like just talking about God. I had never met any like young people like happily, joyfully, like talking about the Lord and how much they knew their faith too.
Mm-hmm.
So just all these conversations they were having that was like foreign, like alien to me, because I just never knew. So I joined this campus ministry at University of Miami, and I would go to their meetings. Although I was studying, at FIU for the most part. I did transfer to USF, and I'm a nurse currently, but I went to nursing school at USF in Tampa. But yes, I got involved here, and it was just mind-boggling for me to just see like young people talking about the Lord, and it was so countercultural, the lifestyle that they were living, and they were playing sports, like, having like these little gatherings like of like Saint Therese like feast party, and I don't know, I had never seen that in my life.
Wow, very good. Well, so they're a witness again, like in Jenny's case, they're a witness of a joyful, faithful life, and at the same time, healthy life and normal life in many ways, moved you to try to live that way of life as well. And that's, I think, important for all of us listening, right? To realize that our example, even though it might seem to go unnoticed, people see it. People see, oh, this is a faithful Catholic, and they're healthy. They do fun things. They have fun in their lives, good fun, healthy fun. And they are faithful Catholics. They live out their faith. So I think that that is an encouragement for everyone, right? And how did you know about Miles Christi, and what came next?
So yes, as I was studying, at FIU, we would watch like EWTN a lot as a family. I know a lot of young people don't do that, but God has really used it in my life. So we were just watching EWTN, and the documentary of Miles Christi came on, and I watched the whole thing, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like this is awesome. Like you guys spoke about the spiritual exercises, the liturgy, your spirituality. And I was just like, I'm just gonna go to the spiritual exercises. So I flew from Miami to Scottsdale, Arizona, and you were there, and we had a conversation.
Awesome. Very good. So I was
6
preaching
years
the retreat.
ago. Yes, you were preaching the retreat.
Awesome. Very good, very good. And how did you like the retreat?
It was spectacular. It was awesome. It was just so good in so many ways.
Very good.
Many ways.
Well, that's good because 2 episodes ago we spoke about the spiritual exercises, and now you see a good example of someone who did the retreat and enjoyed it and liked it.
Yes, definitely.
Very good, very good. Well, so is there anything else you want to tell us about yourself, or anything about your faith that a highlight that you enjoyed about your faith in these years?
Well, going off the spiritual exercises that we just spoke about, it was so instrumental in so many ways, even though it's like, the fruits keep on coming out as time passes. But I remember as I came back from the spiritual exercises, a priest, he asked me to be the campus minister of the president of Catholic campus ministry at FIU. And what I gained in the spiritual exercises really helped me make that decision, and just kind of, I don't know, just
see the will of God in that.
Exactly. And then just continue like what I gained in the spiritual exercises of meditation, incorporating that into my college years was like super fundamental.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. And then Jenny, regarding your life as a consecrated woman, what would you say would be a highlight? Because you did a big sacrifice to give up everything, right, and embrace religious life, or consecrated life. Now, what would you say is a highlight that you would like to tell us about afterwards in your spiritual consecrated life?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. So the it is true, it is the sacrifice, but also when kind of like in my meditation, or when we kind of reflect back about our own consecrated life, seeing how merciful God is, because when one is called to, for example, when God called me when Christ called me to consecrated life, it wasn't because I was like holy. It wasn't because I, had all these like amazing talents or something. It was like an unmerited gift. And kind of reflecting upon that, I see just the beauty and the love that Christ has. And that always, when I kind of ponder that, is just floors me. I can't believe it. And so, yeah, perhaps, I have given up these things in the world, but Christ has given me so much more, so much so that now I can, call him my spouse. Like that is such an incredible gift that I am all his, and he in one sense is all mine.
Yeah, he is through the Eucharist and through consecrated life. He's yours.
Exactly. So that I really is probably one of the deepest things when I reflect
it's a treasure,
upon my
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Life. Very good. Very good. And Kristina, anything that you would like to mention or highlight any of this conversation?
So yes, Father Patrick and to Jenny, both of you, would you say that consecrated life, religious life is like boring? You don't have any fun. You're just frowning the whole time and depressed in a corner crying. Is that accurate?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're always like bored. I'm like, no, of course not. No, so I think that that could be sometimes a perception.
Definitely.
If someone doesn't know what consecrated life is about or the priesthood. So first of all, I'm very happy to have given my life to Christ, because through that, I not only dedicate myself to him, although it's a sacrifice, you give up something, but that happens in marriage as well. Those who get married with one spouse don't get married with all the other thousands of spouses that they could have married, right? And so there is a sacrifice. There's a sacrifice in having children, but the rewards of the priesthood, are far outweigh the sacrifices. And that makes us happy to know that we're offering our lives for something that is eternal, for the salvation of souls, for our neighbor, right? For the glory of God and for the well-being of our neighbor. And in that sense, I think you see that, right? You see that in consecrated people around you, or not?
Definitely. You and Jenny are very, very, very joyful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think to reflect, John JP2 talks a lot about, the life with Christ is truly an adventure. And I have seen that in my life a lot. I grew up in this very, very small farm community, and never would I imagine in a million years I'd be having all these experiences. And not only that, but God has been able to fulfill my heart, as women desire, of course, children. But now I have many, many, let's say, spiritual daughters to take care of. You coming off of this camp, these retreats, many girls that I am in constant contact with, that is very fulfilling. But then also, give thanks to God, it was through my consecrated life that I am able to have these adventures.
Yes. And Jenny definitely was a great mother to us all when we were going down the zip line and running around and playing volleyball this past weekend. And then a question I have for you, Father Patrick, could someone be called to religious life, to consecrated life, even though they have a great desire for a family, to be married? Is that, what would you have to say about that?
Are those things compatible? Yeah, I think so. Actually, I think that when we see a priest or a sister or a consecrated woman or a brother, right? So brothers are men who consecrate their lives to Christ, but not through the priesthood, right? Through the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. We have to remember that all these people wanted to be married at one point. That's almost, I would say, I wouldn't necessarily say a condition, but kind of a condition, because that's a natural inclination of our human nature. So we do want to get married, right? We're attracted to the opposite sex. We would like to have children, but we give up through the vow of chastity, poverty, and obedience. We give that up to Christ to dedicate ourselves to a greater love, right? So I would say that it's natural and almost necessary to have had that inclination to marriage and married life, as it is a part of our human natural inclination. Right, and then we see that we're called to dedicate that love exclusively to Christ and the Church, and therefore we offer it to God as a gift, right, and in a sense also a sacrifice. We're sacrificing one love for another, human love for divine love, a great love for a greater love, Yeah, so anyway, any other thing that you would like to, I think you had some other comments or questions?
I know, I think maybe Jenny touched upon this, but I think a lot of people have the misconception of, religious, or if somebody's called to religious life or to be a priest, to be a consecrated woman, like they have to be perfect. They have to be super holy off the bat. Is that true?
Yeah, no, it's, no, actually not. Okay, so there's a basic, general floor, if you want, that you want to have a certain level of virtue, basic level of virtue, but also for marriage. You cannot enter marriage under certain conditions. There has to be a basic, if you want, conditions to come into marriage. So in the same way, there are certain conditions to come into consecrated life, but not necessarily holiness already acquired, right? So on the contrary, consecrated life and the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, both for consecrated women, for brothers, or for priests, and the priesthood, imply that as we make that decision, we see our weaknesses and our limitations, and the key thing is we aim at acquiring that holiness. So we commit to acquire holiness, but that is a constant, a lifelong journey, right? And hopefully, at the end of our life, by the time we die, it could be sooner or later, we have acquired some degree of that holiness that we were expected and we planned to and committed to embrace at the beginning of our journey, let's say, right? So the short answer to your question is no, you don't need to be holy to become a priest. You don't need to be holy to become a consecrated woman, but you have to have a basic level of virtue, right? And that's why, like in almost any job, right? If you're going to be a teacher, you have to have a basic level of virtue. If you're going to be a governor, president, or like of a school or something, you need to have a basic level of virtue. Well, also for the priesthood, consecrated life, you want to have a basic level of virtue that says, yes, you can start doing this right now, but then you still have a journey ahead, and therefore I wouldn't say that you are supposed to be holy off the bat. Absolutely. I would say it's impossible. There might be some people, but I mean, there are some people that are very virtuous and holy off the bat, but it's a journey. It's an effort. It's a road to walk and advance through, right? So very good. All right. Okay. So if anyone listening has any more questions about consecrated life or the priesthood, please make sure you email me at info@forcollegecatholics.org. That's our email here. So again, info@forcollegecatholics.org. Or if anyone has a question for Jenny about consecrated women or how to live life in college or something, do email me and I'll forward it to her and she will surely answer. So thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Kristina, for being with us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Please pray for all the wonderful consecrated women, religious sisters, and all the people who are dedicated to God and to making this world a more Christ-like society. It's a big sacrifice that we do for this purpose. We always need prayers to persevere, to continue moving forward. So, and also remember, if you would like to share this episode with your friends, to help more young people get to know Jesus Christ and understand his infinite love for us. If you would like to support this podcast, please do leave a review in Apple Podcast or rate it in any other platform that you have so that others may be encouraged to listen to it as well. So we'll see you in our next episode, and may God bless your day.